Would you rather spend the next year being slowly drained by the toxic person at your job? Or would you rather take their power away in the next 10 minutes? Because that's the choice most people don't realize they're making every single day. The toxic coworker, the toxic boss, the team lead who has everyone walking on eggshells. They don't keep getting away with it because they're powerful. They keep getting away with it because the people around them keep playing the exact game those toxic people want them to play. Smart people don't play that game. Smart people don't get petty. They don't get loud, and they definitely don't get fired trying to prove a point. They get strategic. I'm Dre, and over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 5 moves that smart people use to handle toxic people at work without losing sleep, losing status, or losing themselves in the process. Number 4 is the one I personally love the most because it makes toxic people squirm in real time. So make sure you stick around for that one. Let's get into it. The first move smart people make is the one most people skip entirely. And skipping it is exactly why they stay stuck for years in environments that quietly drain them. Smart people stop trying to diagnose the toxic person. I know that one's going to sting a little. Because if you're watching this video, there's a real chance your search history right now looks like a clinical psychology curriculum. You've read the articles on narcissists. You've watched the breakdowns on covert manipulators. You've probably labeled your boss with at least 2 personality disorders by Thursday. I get it. When someone is gaslighting you, turning your coworkers against you, and rewriting reality in real time, your brain desperately wants to make sense of it. The problem is that all of that analysis feels like progress, but it isn't. It's a delay tactic dressed up as insight. Underneath it is a quiet belief that if you can just understand them well enough, you can fix them, predict them, outsmart them back into being a reasonable human being. You can't. People who behave this way don't change because you finally crack the code on their childhood. Smart people stop asking, why is this person like this? They start asking a much sharper question. Why is this getting to me? And what is it actually costing me to keep letting it? That shift sounds small, but it changes everything. One question keeps you stuck inside their drama. The other one pulls you out of it. The toxic person at your job is not a puzzle for you to solve. They are a situation for you to navigate. The second you stop trying to be their unpaid therapist, you free up an enormous amount of mental space, which is exactly what you'll need for the second move. The second thing smart people do is they stop reacting and they start responding. There is a massive difference between the two, and almost nobody learns it until they've been burned by it a few times. When a toxic coworker takes a shot at you in a meeting, when your boss criticizes you for something that wasn't even your fault, when someone takes credit for your idea right in front of your face, every cell in your body wants to clap back. You want to be sharp. You want to be quick. You want everyone in the room to see exactly what you just saw. I understand the impulse completely, but here's what nobody tells you. In almost every situation where you match a toxic person's energy, you are the one who ends up looking unprofessional. Their behavior has already become the baseline that everyone has quietly accepted. Yours is the disruption. So when you push back, you become the problem. The status quo protects them, not you. Smart people understand this, and they refuse to play the game on the toxic person's terms. They go boring. They go flat. They give them nothing. There's a name for this strategy that you might have heard before. It's called gray rocking. You make yourself emotionally uninteresting. You don't give them the sigh, the eye roll, the long defensive explanation, the visible flicker of frustration. You give them nothing to feed on. Toxic people are performers, and performers need an audience that reacts. The second you stop reacting, the show is over. Smart people also know when fairness has quietly left the building. In a healthy workplace, the person who does the work gets the credit. the promotion, and the recognition. In a toxic workplace, that math breaks down completely, and trying to force fairness onto a broken system will burn you out before it ever rewards you. So smart people pick their battles with surgical precision. They don't go to war over a snarky message when they could be saving that energy for a battle that actually moves their paycheck or their position. If you're already mentally drafting a comment about how this just lets toxic people get away with it, hold that thought, because the next move is the one that quietly takes them apart from the inside out. The third move is the one that changes the actual lived experience of being at work, not just the outcomes. Smart people disarm their own triggers. Here's the uncomfortable truth about toxic people at work. They're remarkably skilled at finding the exact pressure points that will make you react. And that talent is the entire foundation of their power over you. But those pressure points are not coming from them. They're coming from somewhere inside you. Nobody can make you feel small unless some part of you is already afraid that you are. Nobody can make you feel like a fraud unless some part of you has been quietly waiting for someone to confirm it. Nobody can keep you chasing approval from a person who will never give it unless somewhere along the way you learned that love was something you had to earn through performance. Those are the buttons, and toxic people at work are professional button pushers. Let me give you a personal example. A few years back, I worked for someone who treated questioning my competence like it was their full-time hobby. It didn't matter how strong my track record was or how many wins I had banked. Every single thing I delivered got pulled apart for reasons that often didn't even hold together logically. There was one stretch where I got hammered for not turning around a piece of work fast enough while I was actively out sick, and not a sniffles and a cup of tea kind of sick. Most of it I could brush off in the moment because honestly, I didn't respect this person enough for their opinion to carry real weight. But what I couldn't see at the time was that they were quietly leaning on a very specific old wound. An old story I'd been carrying around for years about being underestimated, about constantly needing to prove I belonged in the room. That story was the only reason any of it actually stuck to me. After I left that job and did the slow, awkward work of facing that wound directly, something wild happened. Other toxic people came along later and tried similar moves, and the moves just slid right off. The trigger was gone. There was nothing left for them to grab onto. That's the real goal. You don't have to wait for the toxic people around you to change. You become the person they can't touch. And once you've started that work, you're ready for the move I love the absolute most. The fourth move is my personal favorite because it is quietly, beautifully ruthless. Smart people force toxic people into the light. Toxic people survive on shadows. Every single move they make depends on plausible deniability. It was a joke. That's not what I meant. You're reading into it. I never said that. Their entire operation collapses the second their behavior gets pulled into clear, documented daylight. So smart people make daylight their default setting. They work out loud. They communicate what they're working on, what they finished, what's coming next, and they do it in ways that other people across the team can see. That makes their contributions impossible to quietly absorb, dismiss, or bury under someone else's name. They keep receipts. After any meeting with a person they don't trust, a clean follow-up message goes out summarizing what was discussed and what was agreed to. Now it lives in writing, outside the toxic person's preferred medium of vague verbal claims and conveniently faulty memory. They also tighten the perimeter. Toxic people cannot sabotage what they don't have access to, so smart people quietly stop oversharing. They stop handing over personal vulnerabilities, half-baked ideas, and behind-the-scenes context to a person who has already shown them exactly what they'll do with that information. And here's the part that's genuinely fun. When a toxic coworker drops one of those classic passive-aggressive lines, the kind that sounds like a compliment but is engineered to plant doubt in the room, smart people take it completely at face value. Picture the scene. You're in a team meeting. You finally float an idea you've been sitting on for days. The toxic person in the room hits you with one of those flat, sarcastic, "Oh wow, what a great idea," kind of remarks, designed to make you walk it back and apologize for ever speaking up. The old version of you might have shrunk. The smart version smiles and says, "I really appreciate the support. Thank you for backing me on this." Now the toxic person has to choose in real time. Either they openly contradict themselves in front of everyone, which exposes the entire act, or they nod along and accidentally endorse the very idea they were trying to bury. Both outcomes work for you. You took the weapon they handed you and turned it into fuel. Once you start doing this consistently, you'll notice that toxic people get strangely quiet around you. That silence is the sound of them losing their grip. The fifth and final move is the one that locks everything else into place. Smart people stop avoiding office politics and they start mastering them. I can already feel some of you tensing up at the word politics, and I get it. The version of office politics most people have ever seen is genuinely ugly. Backstabbing, credit theft, whisper campaigns. People who climb the ladder by stepping on whoever is closest to them. If that's the only flavor you've ever tasted, then refusing to participate feels like the moral high ground. But here's the part nobody tells you. Sitting out office politics does not keep you above the fray. It just leaves you defenseless inside it. The toxic players are still playing the game, whether you choose to participate or not. The only real question is whether you have anything in place to protect yourself when they decide to aim at you. Smart people understand that there is a second, much cleaner version of this game, and that version comes down to three things: reputation, relationships, and influence. Your reputation is your currency. It's what people say about you in the rooms you're not standing in. Smart people are intentional about shaping it. They make sure their wins are visible, not buried under quiet humility that toxic people will happily exploit. Their relationships are their insurance. They build genuine bonds with people across teams, not just up the ladder, grounded in real respect and mutual value, not transactional flattery. And their influence is what closes the loop. When you have advocates in the right rooms, a toxic coworker can't quietly assassinate your character because someone in there is going to push back. When your work is well known, nobody can quietly take credit for it. When you have real political capital, toxic people start to recognize on some instinctive level that you are not the safe target they thought you were. They go looking for someone easier. That's what becoming untouchable actually looks like. It's not loud. It's not aggressive. It's the slow, steady accumulation of leverage that toxic people simply can't reach. So those are the 5 moves. Stop trying to diagnose them. Stop reacting and start responding. Disarm your own triggers. Force them into the light. And master your own version of office politics. Try them one at a time and watch how fast the dynamic around you starts to shift. If any part of this hits you a little too accurately, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. I drop new strategies every single week for people who refuse to be the easy target at work. And trust me, you and I are just getting started. I'll catch you in the next one.